as a 50 caliber rifle or a semi-auto with a detachable magazine and a modification like a pistol grip or a muzzle brake.
High casualty mass shootings in Colorado carried out using the type of weapons included in this bill.
Split Congress is not likely to do a thing to touch gun issues.
Denver 7's Sam Pena digging into that bill and several other gun reform measures now under consideration.
Digging deeper, lawmakers also are set to discuss another bill that would prohibit carrying guns in sensitive places.
Colorado's proposed attack arms ban. A bill proposing the ban on manufacturing and future sales of attack arms has recently passed its first committee in the Colorado General Assembly, marking a significant step towards its potential enactment into law. The bill, spearheaded by Democratic State Representative Tim Hernandez and co-sponsored by other legislators, aims to restrict the possession, purchase, importation, and sale of attack arms in Colorado. Defined within the bill are attack arms, which encompass various specific models such as AR-15s and AK-47s, along with a range of arm features. Notably, possession of these arms would not be prohibited for current owners, but the bill targets the cessation of future transactions involving attack arms within the state.
As a 50 caliber rifle or a semi-auto with a detachable magazine and a modification like a pistol grip or a muzzle brake.
House lawmakers introduced a bill that would ban the sale and transfer of assault weapons here in Colorado.
If this bill is signed into law before the ink is dried, I will file a lawsuit.
Denver 7's Sam Pena digging into that bill and several other gun reform measures now under consideration.
The bill categorizes attack arms as semi-auto rifles with detachable mags and additional features like pistol grips, folding or telescoping stocks, muzzle brakes, or threaded barrels. It extends to include certain types of pistols, semi-auto shot arms, and 50 caliber rifles, providing a comprehensive framework for identifying banned arms. Following its passage through the House Judiciary Committee, Representative Hernandez expressed optimism, emphasizing the bill's progression to the House floor for further deliberation. He underscored the urgent need for legislative action, citing public support for measures aimed at curbing armed violence, particularly in the wake of mass slayings that have plagued communities nationwide. However, the bill's journey through the legislative process has not been without opposition. Arm rights supporters, including organizations like the Rocky Mountain Arm Owners, have vehemently opposed the proposed ban, staging protests and vowing to challenge it through both legislative and legal avenues. Republican State Representative Ron Weinberg echoed these sentiments, pledging to defend Second Amendment rights against what he views as an infringement on individual freedoms. Despite the bill's passage through committee, its fate remains uncertain as it moves to the House floor for debate. The contentious nature of the issue is reflected in the polarization of views among lawmakers and the public, with advocates of the ban advocating for enhanced public safety measures, while opponents argue for the protection of constitutional rights.
High casualty mass shootings in Colorado carried out using the type of weapons included in this bill.
The original version of this bill, as it stands now, calls for the potential of enormous fines, up to $500,000.
Assault weapons are designed for one thing, that is to kill as many humans as possible.
Taking away guns from law-abiding citizens does not do anything for gun violence.
Proponents of the bill contend that banning attack arms could potentially mitigate the severity of mass slayings, reducing both casualties and the frequency of such incidents. They view legislative action as essential in addressing the pervasive threat of armed violence, particularly in light of past tragedies that have left indelible scars on communities across Colorado. Conversely, opponents of the ban question its effectiveness in addressing underlying issues related to armed violence, arguing that it unfairly targets law-abiding arm owners while doing little to prevent criminal misuse of firearms. They advocate for alternative approaches focused on mental health, law enforcement, and addressing root causes of violence. As the bill proceeds to the House floor for further deliberation, it represents just one aspect of a broader legislative agenda aimed at addressing arm-related issues in Colorado. With other proposals under consideration, including measures related to concealed carry, liability insurance for arm owners, and licensing for arm sellers, the debate over arm policy is likely to continue, reflecting ongoing efforts to strike a balance between public safety and individual rights. Ban sparks intense debate. At the State House, a fresh Democratic attempt to outlaw attack arms is underway. Shortly after midnight on Wednesday, the House Judiciary Committee approved it, despite a nearly 14-hour hearing and a strong showing from opponents who denounced the bill as illegal. A similar proposal was defeated by this same committee in 2023 by a single vote, but this year it succeeded on a party line vote of 7-3, thanks to a reorganization of its Democratic membership. Rep. Mark Snyder of Manitou Springs, a Democrat who voted against it in 2023, was not present at the hearing on Tuesday. One of the primary proponents of House Bill 1292, Democratic Representative Tim Hernandez of Denver, stated, "We cannot sit by in the state of Colorado and do nothing, as children like me are scared to go into classrooms like I once was." Hernandez is now the youngest representative in the state at 26 years old. In 2023, hundreds of students staged a walkout from class to demand that the legislature take greater action to stop armed violence, and he was there at the demonstrations at the state. He had previously taught at an Aurora high school. Regarding mass slayings, he declared, "We must take moral action to do everything in our power to stop this." According to the law, an attack arm is any semi-auto rifle with one or more of the following qualities plus a detachable mag. These consist of a threaded barrel, a folding stock, a barrel shroud, and an arm grip. In addition, some 50 caliber rifles, semi-auto hand arms, and revolving chambered shot arms would be prohibited under the conscription.
Split Congress is not likely to do a thing to touch gun issues.
A lot of us get threats. I've had vandalism to my home. People know where I live. You know, I have a right to self-defense.
The Democrats who run the whole show at the Capitol did not agree with each other on restrictions on so-called assault weapons last year.
There's no common sense argument that justifies the use of these weapons in our communities.
In addition, Garcia is a plaintiff in the case challenging Colorado's 3-day arm purchase ban. Garcia assured the Judiciary Committee that she is ready and equipped at all times. "I'm comfortable meeting my maker and telling him that I defend innocent if I find myself in a situation where evil is prevalent. And I made the decision to carry an arm with me at all times for the rest of my life on that day when I swore that promise," Garcia added. There are few exceptions to the measure, such as those for law enforcement and military personnel who maintain these arms for official duties. It would continue to permit the use of prohibited arms on shooting ranges. The sponsors have consented to a few amendments. One permits the inheritance of attack arms, and the other makes it clear that those who now own these arms in Colorado may move them outside of the state, for example, if they choose to sell them in Wyoming. "We have no control over the distribution or sale of attack arms in the states that surround Colorado," Hernandez remarked. He added that the governor's administration had requested such modifications to the measure. Rep. Elizabeth Epps, a Democrat from Denver and a re-sponsor of the 2023 measure, encouraged lawmakers to make decisions that are unapologetically committed to saving lives. She informed the committee, "I happen to think people respond really well to their elected representatives doing what they've sent us to do." According to polls cited by proponents of tougher arm legislation, the majority of Colorado voters, particularly Democrats, are in favor of a ban on attack-style arms. Push for attack arms ban. The Colorado General Assembly's recent advancement of a bill proposing an attack arm ban marks a significant development in the state's ongoing efforts to address armed violence. Introduced by Democratic legislators, the bill has ignited passionate debates and raised complex legal and political considerations. Understanding the context, motivations, and implications of this proposed legislation is crucial for comprehensively analyzing its potential impact on public safety and constitutional rights. Historically, the debate surrounding bans on specific types of arms, particularly attack arms, has been contentious. Critics often argue that such measures are ineffective, difficult to enforce, and encroach upon Second Amendment rights. However, in recent years, the urgency to address armed violence, fueled by tragic mass slayings and public outcry, has spurred renewed efforts to enact stricter arm control measures.
Digging deeper, lawmakers also are set to discuss another bill that would prohibit carrying guns in sensitive places.
We're talking about our classrooms, our movie theaters, our grocery stores.
The bill would instead ban the sale or transfer of such guns in Colorado.
Anyone found violating the law would be hit with a $250,000 penalty for a first offense, $500,000 thereafter.
Legal challenges loom over the proposed attack arms ban, highlighting the intricate interplay between state laws and constitutional provisions. Colorado's constitution explicitly protects the right to bear arms for self-defense and in aid of the civil power, setting a high bar for legislation that restricts arm ownership. While past arm laws have withstood legal scrutiny, recent judicial developments, including the U.S. Supreme Court's Bruin decision, have raised the standard for evaluating the constitutionality of arm regulations. Legal experts caution that any attack arms ban must meet stringent constitutional criteria to avoid legal challenges. The application of a historical precedent standard, as established in the Bruin decision, necessitates compelling justifications for restricting specific arms. As such, proponents of the attack arms ban face the formidable task of crafting legislation that balances public safety concerns with constitutional rights and withstands legal scrutiny. The political landscape further complicates the trajectory of the attack arms ban in Colorado. While Democrats hold a significant majority in the House, the Senate presents a more evenly divided arena, posing challenges to the bill's passage. Despite internal divisions and external pressure, Democratic legislators remain committed to advancing arm control measures, reflecting evolving public sentiments and growing demands for legislative action. Beyond the legislative process, broader societal factors influence the debate surrounding arm violence and arm control. Advocates and opponents alike acknowledge the multifaceted nature of the issue, encompassing mental health, cultural norms, and community engagement. While legislation can address certain aspects of armed violence, comprehensive solutions require collaborative efforts across various sectors, including law enforcement, healthcare, and education. That's all for this video, folks. See you next time.